So interestingly enough, y'all seem to like it when we talk about this player talking about another player. And that sounds pretty cryptic, but we did make a video about these two guys in the past. Of course, we are talking about KHL defenseman Tony DeAngelo speaking out about Ivan Demidov, Montreal Canadiens' 5th overall pick from the 2024 NHL Draft and one of the best young players outside of the NHL today. Tony DeAngelo has once again gone out there and brought some heat to Montreal Canadiens fans in regards to Demidov and what he is about. And what I wanted to do was leave a link in the description to this video on dailyfaceoff.com asking how good is Ivan Demidov. This is where Tony DeAngelo, who was being interviewed on the Daily Faceoff podcast, went out there and spoke about the Canadiens prospect, and the comments that he made were really interesting. Now, of course, the source is like a YouTube short or a TikTok pretty much, and it's not too long, it's only a 1-minute long video, but Tony DeAngelo goes out there and speaks about Demidov saying that, hey, we had a Russian reporter ask me about Ivan Demidov, comparing him to McDavid and McKinnon. And by watching this, I was like, okay, wait, what? Really? People in Russia are comparing Demidov to those two? Firstly, no, he's not going to be McDavid. But secondly, if they're comparing this guy to McDavid and McKinnon, then why the hell is he being played so little on the ice? Okay, let's just try to calm it down a little bit, because I know that's the immediate instinctual response that many Canadiens fans will be greeted with once they see that. But Tony DeAngelo then goes out there and says, whoa, wait a minute, I'm not going to go out there and compare Demidov to McDavid and McKinnon, but he has some world-class talent, DeAngelo talks about. He goes over how he doesn't really feel like there were 3 guys better than him at the 2024 NHL Draft, how he should have been maybe a 2nd overall guy. Which, okay, yeah, he says Celebrini probably should have been taken number 1, but he then gives a really detailed scouting report on Ivan Demidov. He's a dynamic skater, he's real strong on his skates, flies, he's got a big-time shot, like top-notch skill, and then DeAngelo says that the lowest possible floor that Ivan Demidov has in the NHL is like a 30-goal, top 6 caliber guy. That's crazy. And it's quite interesting, I'd say, because upon listening to this video clip, I kind of had a little bit of an epiphany. I was like, wow, like for all the crap that we throw Tony DeAngelo's way, which I'm going to say a lot of it is justified, like he has done a lot of dumb things and said some stupid things over the years, but with all the stuff with Tony DeAngelo drama, this is a dude that knows puck, and he's definitely able to talk about it in a way that is comprehensive to the average viewer and fully gets the point across. I mean, DeAngelo could be a really good analyst. He speaks very well. Of course, you could say, oh, he says other stuff pretty well too, but like, calm it down, guys, calm it down. Tony D goes out there and speaks out about Ivan Demidov, says the floor here is a 30-goal, top 6 caliber guy. And realistically, 30-goal, top 6 caliber guy, there are a lot of 30-goal, top 6 caliber guys in the NHL. You probably don't necessarily want to see those guys taken 5th overall, but 30-goal guys can help you out, and they could get, as it's labeled out there, 30 goals a year. That's pretty important, and it could help you win at the very least 2 or 3 more games in a season. If the Ivan Demidov train allows the Canadiens to get 6 more points down the line in a season, then okay, that's pretty alright. But that is just a floor, as being labeled out here by Tony D. Everything else leans into being more valuable than that. And obviously, you know, the idea that Russian analysts are tossing out there, McDavid, McKinnon, like, okay, that's kind of ridiculous, but it is interesting enough to dive into, which is why I wanted to talk about the DeAngelo clip in this video. Again, it's going to be in the description. It's only a minute long. I'd spend 4 minutes talking about a 1-minute clip. That's kind of how YouTube commentary works. But I also wanted to use this as an opportunity to dive into Demidov's season with the SKA team right now, considering the fact that SKA hasn't played a game since November 21st, and they aren't going to play another game until November 28th. Yeah, for some reason this team's taken a 1-week break. I'm not necessarily too sure why that is, but regardless, the team is off for a while. Ivan Demidov, if you head over to his point production metric, he has once again, unfortunately, declined in all the numbers. He's at 20 points in 30 games played, on pace for about 46 points in a 68-game campaign. And I'll be very clear, 46 points in 68 games would be awesome in a full-time debut KHL year at 18 years old, especially on a team like SKA St. Petersburg, which is very difficult to get minutes and very crowded because it's such a good team. Demidov getting this point production to end off the year would be astounding, and even at 20 points in 30 games played, this is already a very good metric. The thing is, though, if you head over to the game log and you see what Ivan Demidov has done lately, well, the month of November has been pretty rough for Demidov, to be honest. He's played, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games, and he's only got 1 point. On top of this, his decline in ice time has been brought up once again, too. In the November 2nd game against Silayev, he had 14 minutes, but then he dipped down to 8 minutes against the Kunlun Red Star. The next 2 games saw him put up 15 and 13 minutes before dropping down below 10 minutes for the next 4 games straight. Now, to be fair, for 3 straight games, Demidov was at 9 minutes and 40 to 50 seconds flat. But then this previous game, a 4-1 win against Torpedo, Demidov had 6 minutes time on ice yet again. So he's not really getting any consistency, and also, with the ice time that he's getting, some of these games are just kind of tight. I mean, CSKA had a 1-0 shootout win in there, there was a 3-2 loss, a 2-1 loss, a 2-1 loss again, 5-2 loss as well, so SKA has started to lose games here and there. Demidov had started to get less ice time as well as SKA started winning games last week, so it's definitely not consistent here. And even though there is a narrative that you could say brings him up in the same light that McDavid and McKinnon have, because some Russian analysts are going out there and bringing it up themselves, it doesn't really translate to the point production, unfortunately. And honestly, there isn't really anybody in the KHL who is producing point per game numbers like McDavid, or not McDavid. This year he hasn't necessarily been as highly productive, but the top point per game guy in the KHL right now, aside from Nikolai Parokhin, who's only got 7 games played, it's Nikita Gusev and then Tony DeAngelo, who have a 1.07 and a 1.05 points per game. In the NHL, those numbers are even better. There are so many guys who are over a point per game and way, way, way above 1.07 points per game. It's not even funny. So, ultimately, the KHL, comparing these guys to Demidov, not really the smartest thing I would say to do, but also it's interesting to dive into what Tony DeAngelo had to say, which, if you're going to take it as the gospel, is labeling Ivan Demidov as a lowest tier possible 30-goal guy at the NHL level, which you could go out there and say whether or not that's good or not. I'd say it's probably a good thing, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this latest Ivan Demidov update for the Montreal Canadiens? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.